teach on the academic side, private equity, venture capital, so what have you observed as a problem solver? Where do you find you add the most value? What is the service that people really want from you where you can move the needle in terms of improving their financial position or life?
Lane, as I think about that, and I'm sort of internally smiling because we're kind of back to the, you've never held a job, John. you can't, and I do. I enjoy diversity, I enjoy the challenges, all this kind of stuff. But as I think back on like our most successful engagements, oftentimes it is the owner, the founder will come to us, and I mean, things are going well, as is often the case, but they want to accomplish something. It's like they may be, now we want to contemplate a transaction, which is, of course, my interest and involvement in Optima. And truthfully, Lane, it is, and I think this may be a little bit unusual, it is the ability to have those conversations through a financial lens. So there are lots of advisors out there, and I have tremendous amount of respect for all of them, and there's certainly lots of financial people out there. What I have found that people seem to look to me or lean on me is that ability to have these strategic conversations or, life-changing transaction decisions, or truly in the case of family businesses, generations.
Sure.
What do I do with I don't trust my grandson, this kind of stuff. But the ability not only to sort of coach and counsel and advise and guide and provide legitimate alternatives or choices along the way, but to do that with an understanding of the financial ramifications of what we're talking about.
So in terms of the deliverables, I know from our interactions, you do business valuations. You keep books and records for businesses. You'll do financial reporting.
Yes.
And so you have a lot of different, you have a big toolkit that you can use to help people. And so where do you see business people need the most help? Where do you see the biggest problems arising in the management of their wealth and their businesses?
So, gosh, there's actually probably several answers to that question, Lane. For example, I have been fortunate. In some cases, I've dealt with high-profile athletes. And one of the things that I see in that world is their advisors will tell them what they want to hear. And I could cite a specific case. And that's just not that's not how I was raised. That's not who I am. I appreciate that you're famous. I don't care. That doesn't really change how I'm going to talk to you.
Right.
I had one in particular. We actually worked on this big project for him. It was quite successful. And at the very end, the last meeting, I had a few of my team members there. I said, gosh, would it be okay if we got an autograph? And I remember what he said to me was, he goes, why? He goes, we've been working together for 6 months and no one's ever mentioned my athletic career at all.
Yeah,
I was thinking you guys didn't know who I was.
Right.
And I said, no, we're huge fans.
Right.
So we have some photographs and autographs from that. So I think a little bit of it, Lane, is that ability to be that sort of arm's length independent. I don't look at, I see some amazing opportunities, but I don't lead with, gosh, I could profit from that, or I could benefit from that. Anything else, like, no, I need to be the independent, transparent advisor. I see this, I see that. So one is, providing people with unbiased advice. The second thing is an ability to look at things holistically. Here's kind of the decision that's in front of you. If we choose, A and B seem obvious, C and D are possibilities. then let's look at the ramifications of all these things. I have one that a woman came to me just recently, and it's a company. There's a software product. I mean, she's been sort of the key driver behind it. But it's like a question of like ownership. Everybody sort of wants the outcome, and then the question is, what's it worth, and all this kind of stuff. And so part of it, in just a very short conversation, I'm like, well, gosh, I appreciate what you're trying to solve here, and I'm happy to try to help you solve that in a way that everybody feels validated, heard, compensated,
right.
For what they've contributed to this. But you guys are in a situation where it's actually not worth anything without this individual. And so I was like, okay, so that is something we need to be aware of.
Right.
It's like it can just be worth zero. But then that doesn't fulfill either one of you. So the question is, we go from that to how do we then sort of maximize the value for all the parties involved, Lane?